What is a world? Some of you might be thinking, we're historical gamers. We've clicked onto this by accident. We don't need to invent a world. Wrong. Your world might be the platoon that you are commanding. It might be the regiment that you're in charge of. It might be the fort. If you're a pirate, it might be the ship, the island that you control. If you're a fantasy gamer, you might be an entire generated world. But you all need a world in which your games take place, because they don't take place in the real world, no matter what you think about that. Now, I'm making this video because I was asked a specific question about did I find it hard to make worlds? And the person was referring specifically to my world of Jural. Now, my world of Jural doesn't interpret well with everybody, partly because it is so old. So my first rule of world creation is it's best when it's just allowed to evolve. Don't try and write a codex. Don't try and write every subtlety of everything you can imagine for that world. Just start playing your game and your world will evolve, because you'll make decisions about how your people react, and then questions will arise. You might want to know what the currency is that you're being paid in. You might want to know what's the religious background to the situation. If you're a historical gamer, you might be able to just react and look at a historical text and say, I know that. My world of Jural, my fantasy world, is in the year 1215, and I've married it to Britain in 1215. So I know it's King John, it's Magna Carta, it's just after the Crusades with Richard the Lionheart. It's in some interpretations of the Robin Hood story. I know where I live in that world. Fantasy, I go to, what dwarfs would I like? I like Nordic dwarfs from Norse mythology. That's what I'm having. I used to want Tolkien-esque elves. They don't satisfy me anymore, so I've changed them. Point 2, worlds evolve. They will not be the same after time as they are when you start them. Don't worry about it. Don't get fixated and worry, oh, I've said that. I've said that now, I can't change it. Yeah, you can. Of course you can. My map of Jural has all sorts of random references to things I've seen over time. Names that I thought were appropriate in the 70s clearly aren't. I used a lot of Tolkien type names in the 70s. Now they're a lot more Celtic, based on Irish mythology, Welsh mythology, Cornish, Devon, the Scots, Old English. So let it evolve, and don't worry if something changes. Things change. The village I lived in when I was a boy was called Edenthorpe. That's not what it was called in Saxon times. It was called Egenthorren. You know, it don't matter, does it? Things evolve. Don't try and solve every problem before you start. Just play. I find a good place to start. Get one person or one unit. I've got my platoons. That's why I like skirmish games. I'm not dismissing big games, don't get me wrong, but I like skirmish games. My skirmish forces generally are, I call them platoons. They aren't really. If you're a military person, you know a platoon is bigger than this. But I call it a platoon, and it's a lieutenant and a sergeant and 8 men. And I name them, and I give them ages. The sergeant's always the oldest. The lieutenant's straight out of school, because I don't know anything about him yet. And then the various troops go down. People survive a game. I start to think more about, are they married? Where did they come from? What part of the country? And then that makes me start to think about what regiment are they in. So similarly with fantasy, if I'm playing in my world of Jural and I'm only really focusing on elves, why am I worried about trolls or dwarfs? I'm not. I'm not encountering them. If I'm encountering goblins and elves, that's all I need to know. And if it's in a certain type of vicinity, that's all I need to know about. I don't need to know about anything else. There is after 40 years, there are still squares on the Dural map that are just empty or haven't properly been discovered. They might have physical, geographical features, because if there are mountains there and there are mountains there, I've shoved mountains in the middle. But I don't know what's there. I haven't been. Because unless somebody goes, I don't write anything down. What's the point? Never throw a world away. You might work on a world for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and you think, I'm moving on now. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing pirate games. I'm not doing Stargrave. I'm not doing Frostgrave. Okay, I'll forget. I'll lose everything I ever wrote. And I'll move on. Don't. Please don't. Because in 10 years' time, or 15 years' time, or 20 years' time, you'll start playing a game, and it might be the same game that you're playing now, or you might come across a game and you think, oh, do you know, that reminds me of when I used to have a right good time playing. And you'll think, oh, I wish I'd kept all them notes. Keep them. Keep everything. Just put in a folder. Put in a folder, put a label on it, pop it away. And I'm guessing you're a lot younger than me. I haven't got 20 years. 20 years' time, I'll be a mummy. No, I don't mean like having a baby. I mean, I'll be all desiccated, like old coconuts. But I've got stuff I started when I was, 9. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's nice to have it, and it's nice to react sometimes to these things. And then you need then not to be afraid to change your mind about things, because things I said when I was 12, 15 are laughably innocent and silly now. My world has changed. There are things I know about. There are things I'm prepared to tackle. There are things I want to tackle. Perhaps my games have become more philosophical than just bashing stuff on the head. You change. So the games change. But it's not a bad thing. You don't have to throw the game in the bin, say, oh, I'll start again now. Because I'm not calling them that, I'm calling them that. Don't matter. Call them what you like. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Make a decision. What are you getting paid in? I'm going to get paid in doubloons. That's fine, great. And then you might find, in a bit later, you think, oh, I don't want it to be doubloons. I'm just going to do gold pieces. I'm going to do an old Dungeons and Dragons thing. 10 copper pieces and a silver piece, 10 silver pieces and a gold piece. Gold piece is the standard. Let's just call it a gold piece and have done with it, because it's getting too complicated. That's what I've done with a lot of things. My Japanese game, I've tried all sorts of ways of doing stuff, but that's much easier to just go copper, silver, gold. Yeah, so don't be afraid to sort of change your mind. If you're historical, you might quite be happy doing historical. But then often you've got to think about conversion rates, haven't you? And what's a thing worth now, and what did a soldier actually get paid in 1815? So I wouldn't be too precious about that, even if you're happy. Nobody needs to know, do they, if you're doing it in secret? And finally, just have some fun. Nothing's ever going to upset you in this. It's your world. And if you've got a problem, don't worry about charts and tables and books of rules to tell you the answer. Daydream. Imagine. Play scenarios out in your mind. Just when you're washing up, doing something really laborious at work, sat at your desk. All your brain's melting. You could be thinking, I wonder what sort of religious system those elves really would have had. Perhaps I'll write an epic poem if my boss is not watching. Hope you're going to have a laugh. Let me know how it goes. Don't tell me if you get fired. I don't want that on my conscience. Ta-ra, Chuck.